Hey guys, I'm here with Gene Ha, who is the creator of May. So real quick, Gene, tell us a little bit about May.
Well, okay. Can you hold this for me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to give you guys the elevator pitch. And May is a story of two sisters from rural Indiana. And 8 years ago, the older sister, Abby, disappears without a trace. She doesn't leave a note. She's 13 years old, and everyone's very worried. And all this time, her younger sister has been wondering what happened to her, has been taking care of their aging dad. And then a little bit after she gets out of high school, she gets a call from the sheriff's office late at night saying, "We found your sister, and she's drunk. You need to pick her up." So she goes to the sheriff's office and meets her sister for the first time in 8 years, and she's wearing a crazy Paul Revere-like costume and has this tale about how she's been in another world fighting against mad scientists and monsters and leading a tribe of barbarian warrior cats in a battle, which is obviously really, really hard to believe until some of the monsters start following her back. And that is how the younger sister, May, gets dragged into the otherworldly adventures of her older sister, Abby, as they head off to save their dad.
So what was your inspiration for this story? Because, I mean, it's kind of all over the place in the best way possible.
There's a few obvious things. It's a friend, Bill Willingham, informed me that this is a subgenre called portal fiction. So it's informed by things like John Carter of Mars, The Wizard of Oz. There's actually quite a bit of Peter Pan in it. But the most specific direct inspiration for it was the graphic novel Why I Hate Saturn by Kyle Baker. And like me, he is not a girl, but he did a story about two sisters who are always feuding. And I was just like, wow, this feels so real. And I've never had a sister, but I'm fascinated by the dynamics of how brothers fight is totally different from how sisters fight. And over time, it essentially became fan fiction in my head, where I began playing with the situation that Kyle set up, because he's a genius and people take his ideas and run with them, and he says he's okay with this. And eventually it morphed into what became May today.
Awesome. So I actually I was able to sit in on the Lion Forge panel yesterday, and one of the things that you were talking about with May that I just thought was really awesome was how, this is a story about May who is a geek, and how it's not, and how that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, and it started off with the older sister, who's just a pure action hero, Abby, as the main character. Mm-hmm. And I found out after a while, as I was just playing with the ideas, that because she always thinks she knows what's going on and what the right thing to do, even when she's completely wrong, she's not a compelling character that way. She can make things happen, but she's not someone who makes a good protagonist. And then I realized that the younger sister, the geeky sister, May, is the main character. And she's somebody who sees a problem and thinks through what's happening. And in a sense, she's also kind of standing in for the reader, where sometimes when you read something and something silly happens in a comic or anything like a movie, you just say, why are they doing that? And sometimes the answer is simply, it's genre fiction. They always do that. The villain will drop everything and forget about his main plot of taking over the world just so he can annoy us one super spy out there.
Right, exactly.
But May's the person who asks why. Yeah. And that lets her solve problems that other people can't.
That's awesome. So with this, transition from going to Lion Forge, I mean, are there any differences in not only the story, but like in the creative process? Is there anything that you had to adjust?
Let me see. The biggest thing is, okay, so essentially I began working on Volume 2 of May at Dark Horse. Just as I was transitioning between, they moved me from one editor, Daniel Chabon, to Chantel LaRocque at Dark Horse. And Chantel had totally different notes on Volume 2 than Daniel did. And suddenly it was like, oh, yeah, the story could be a lot better if I do these things you're suggesting. These are really smart notes. And it was huge amounts of the plot got restructured, things got tightened up, and it was just fascinating, all these amazing ideas that Chantel had. And then when I moved to Lion Forge, I thought, well, I've got this totally tightened up, rock-solid plot now, and I'm just going to hand it over here. And then Andrea Colvin at Lion Forge was just like, this is a great story, but some of the minor characters aren't as fleshed out as they should be. And she began questioning the motivations of that. I was like, holy cow, you're right. These are not the minor characters I was trying to write, and I should be doing this, and this, because Andrea could see what I was trying to do, and she's like, if you really want to make this character sing the way you look like you're trying to do it, do this, this, and this, which meant some major. She didn't tell me how to do it, but she told me what direction I needed to achieve to make that work. And I began rewriting the script for those characters. And it's amazing. It was a huge lesson to me how important a great editor is for us to make a story work, especially for a young, a relatively new writer, because I've been an artist for about 25 years, but writing is kind of a new gig to me. So, and I thought I knew it. There's a constant thing where I'm learning how much I don't know. And I think in writing that's much more serious than art, because in art you can see, oh, I finally got it right. But in story, you can't just look at it and see everything's working.
Awesome. So final question. So with May being reintroduced into Lion Forge, how does it feel to have a new chance to reach a whole new and different audience?
Man, it is just insanely exciting because Dark Horse is a great company, but they're very focused on comic shops and not much else. I mean, everything else is kind of a sideline for them. And they're a very efficient engine for like doing great comics aimed at comic shops, and that might be good for other places, but that's not what they're focused on. Lion Forge is a team where they have people from book publishing, comics publishing, education, library experience, and just frankly, their president is a lawyer, is an IP lawyer. They know how to look at things from multiple angles at the same time. They have different ages and backgrounds. They're like Ocean's 11, where it's like there's like sometimes you have a team in a movie where everyone is kind of the same skills with minor variations. They're all muscle-bound guys who drive cars. And then sometimes you have a thing where one person's the person who drives a car, the other person's the face guy, the other. Lion Forge is one of those Ocean's 11's team where everyone has a different skill. It's amazing.
Awesome. So, Gene Ha, thank you so much for giving us a chance to talk with you. May comes out
June 20th.
June 20th. So be sure to check that out, guys. Also, we got more stuff coming up the rest of the weekend, so be sure to check it out. Thanks.